to figure out if there really was a treasure map behind the Declaration of Independence as the legend claimed. Ben immediately took out a cotton swab and repeatedly rubbed it on a lemon. Then, he slowly smeared the lemon juice on the back of the Declaration. Turns out, they were trying to use the principle of acid-induced visualization to make the treasure map behind the Declaration appear. However, after the acid water completely soaked it, there was still no pattern appearing on the back. Just as everyone was at a loss, Ben's father suddenly suggested trying heat. The next second, Ben breathed on the Declaration of Independence. Sure enough, some strange characters then appeared on it. Realizing this method could work, Ben immediately took out a large number of lemons and used a hairdryer to reveal all the characters, then recorded them all on a piece of paper. However, after they finished recording all the information, they found that these characters were not coordinate information, but rather more like design parameters for US dollars. At this point, Ben had a sudden inspiration and immediately took out a dollar bill, using a mineral water bottle as a magnifying glass. As a result, he inadvertently discovered that the clock on the image of Independence Hall stopped at 2:22 p.m. Since this set of numbers was what they had deduced, Ben immediately took his teammates to Independence Hall. They quietly snuck into the clock tower that was not open to the public. When the clock hands reached 2:22, Ben stood on the clock tower and began to look for clues. Unexpectedly, he was surprised to find that the shadow of the clock tower happened to correspond to a high wall not far away. Feeling puzzled, Ben quickly ran to the side of the high wall to check. To his surprise, he suddenly discovered a red brick with markings. Just as Ben excitedly dismantled the red brick, he unexpectedly found that a pair of rare antique glasses were hidden inside. Realizing that this might be the key to cracking the treasure map, Ben immediately rushed home and had his teammates spread out the Declaration of Independence. Putting on the antique glasses, he began to observe carefully. Surprisingly, the glasses really worked. The next second, a 3D color drawing suddenly appeared on the seemingly blank paper surface. Even by adjusting the color of the lenses, different patterns could appear. Just as Ben discovered that the location of the treasure was a church in New York, a group of SWAT police suddenly arrested him on suspicion of stealing the Declaration of Independence. Just like that, Ben was sentenced to life imprisonment. Ben thought the plan to find the treasure was completely ruined, but while the police were escorting him to prison, their communication equipment suddenly experienced serious interference. Then, a helicopter suddenly appeared in the sky, instantly blowing so hard that the police couldn't open their eyes. Just as the scene descended into chaos, a bald man disguised as a reporter came to Ben's side, saying there were people in the water to meet him, and told Ben to jump in quickly. Although Ben didn't know if this was true, he still decided to risk his life and try. To his surprise, after Ben fell into the water, there really was a man in black waiting for him underwater. He immediately gave Ben an oxygen tank and took him away from there with an underwater propulsion device. Only after Ben was led to a safe place did he learn that his rescuers were actually another group of thieves. Turns out, the blonde man had already learned that Ben had obtained the location of the treasure's entrance, and he also wanted a share. Although Ben was unwilling to cooperate after hearing this, his father had already been tied up by the other party. For the safety of his family, Ben had no choice but to take them to the church in New York. After confirming that the pattern on the back of the Declaration of Independence was a tombstone, everyone immediately went underneath the church. Sure enough, after some searching, they finally found the entrance to where the treasure was hidden.